This is
I'm
literally
so
like
excited.
crazy. I like used to watch your videos like literally like back in like middle school. Like this is gonna sound like really weird, but I literally remember when you like had your first boyfriend, Adam. Like I
Oh,
watched your videos back then.
oh my gosh, that is
Like
actually so insane. I was
I
literally
rem
15.
there was
Actually
like a
insane.
video where you guys went to like a Mac DeMarco concert together in LA. This is so weird that I have this in my brain, but
Stop.
you don't understand. This video is like cemented in my brain because I watched it and I was like, this is so cool. Like, I want to have a
Oh
boyfriend I can go to the Mac
my
DeMarco concert in LA with. Like, I was so.
God. I, Summer McKeen, hereby request Josh Ovalle for collaboration with the Internet is Dead podcast. Please, Josh, be a guest on the podcast. We miss you.
Like,
That's actually so insane. I feel like the time that I was like, when I was like starting YouTube, that was everyone's brains were developing. And so everyone just
Hmm.
remembers like the weirdest things. And then it's
yeah.
like, there's like the most random things are just like so concrete in our brains. So I get it. That's so crazy though.
No,
Oh my
I feel
God.
literally,
like it's
yeah.
especially because we're all like around the same age that like it's like just weird because it's like, oh, we are watching this person who like also is our age, but like they're just putting their life on the internet. And it's just really
Yeah.
interesting. But
It is
because I did like the same thing when you were dating Dylan Jordan,
that man
where I was like,
can,
oh my God, I want a boyfriend.
hell no, not him. No, not
No.
him. But that's crazy. Thank you.
Um, okay, wait. Also, just before we start, like we might ask you like jail questions, and if they're too jail, just like tell us.
You guys,
Okay.
I get
Yeah.
nervous really easily.
Like we can
So,
like end any question like no questions asked, like if you just
okay.
like can't talk about
Yeah.
something. Well, hey everyone.
Hey,
Welcome
everyone.
back to the Internet is Dead podcast. Also known as the Josh Ovalle. Please be a guest on my podcast. I'm Brittany. I'm joined by my co-host Samira, and today we're talking to special guest Summer McKeen.
Hello. I'm
Ah.
so excited to be on here. Oh my gosh. Thank you for having
For
me, you guys.
anyone who doesn't know, Summer is a YouTuber. She's been making videos since like 2010-ish.
20,
She's
yeah,
super
2012.
okay, yeah, 2012. She's super well known on the platform. Samira and I both grew up watching her when we were like in high school. Well, I think Samira was younger than I was from what you just said. But I was like especially tapped in during that like Emma Chamberlain, Ellie Thuman era of like all of y'all going on like the like trips together and stuff. And I don't know, it's just really cool to like be able to like discuss things from like a fan perspective, and we're super excited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so insane. I'm really excited.
To start off, like I think all young girls have kind of grown up like watching you and perceiving you as a role model, as like young girls just tend to do with anyone who they see on YouTube who's just
Hmm.
slightly older than them or like fits the mold of like this kind of girl doing cool things
Uh,
that they like want to be doing at that age. Like especially for me when I was just like, oh, like this person is like going on these trips, like they're in spaces with all these creators, like that's so cool, like that's like my dream. I feel like for me as I got older, I only understood that like the separation is a lot less than I thought it was. And this is just like
yeah.
another girl a few years older than me making YouTube videos and getting brand deals. So I'm just curious how that feels for you to be on like the other side of that dynamic, and if you feel like you've experienced any weird effects of that at all.
Yeah, definitely. So the thing about like me and my whole career is I started it because I loved watching YouTube. And so I was just a girl who decided to film herself as well. And I like didn't even put into my frame that it was going to be like a career of any kind. I didn't expect to get subscribers. Like when I got like 10 subscribers, I was like, "Oh, absolutely. Hell yeah. Like this is awesome." But I didn't think that it was going to turn into anything. And so I really had to like learn as I went. Thankfully, I feel like my the growth of my audience and just people like supporting me was super gradual. And so it wasn't like it was like this overnight internet fame where all of a sudden I'm like put on this pedestal and like I have to be perfect. I think there were like certain times. I wish I could give you like a exact time frame, but honestly, it's all been a blur. Like I don't even know. But there were times where it would kind of hit me that I'm like, oh, I am a role model to these girls, and that's really, really awesome. That that comes with so much responsibility, and I
Mm-hmm.
am learning how to be a human being at the same time that all of my audience is too. But it put a lot of pressure on me, and I still feel that pressure of being the best version of myself that I can possibly be. Like I am a role model. That's like how I kind of have to be like, it's like my duty. And I feel like it is also like kind of my calling to like at least set a good example.
Also, I feel
Yeah.
like just like in someone in that position, you have so much more pressure on you to do that, especially as like a girl, because it's like so different, like for I think girls in like any kind of very magnified industry. So I can imagine how that's just like even worse, especially like growing up and just like being a person and people not realizing that you're just a person, you know, like and like that
Yes.
separation being like a really weird thing.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It's so insane, actually. And I even experienced the same thing. Like, you see people, you're on the internet, you see people, they have like a big follower account, or, they've been
Mhm.
online for a long time. You have this, like, I don't know if it's like instinctual, but it's definitely like a subconscious feeling that like they are up here compared to you, like in not like status wise, sometimes yes, but in the way that like they have their shit figured out. Like, of course they have their shit figured out. That's just what we think for some reason. I would say like 2017 through like 2020, 2021, it was like there was that weird separation, and people didn't see social media kids as, you know, their peer. I mean, that
Mm,
still happens, but like it was pretty intense, like in that
yeah.
time. I
I
felt.
was gonna say that was like such a parasocial time. Like I feel like a peak of that kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with like quarantine or like COVID and all that too.
I feel like there was this weird like jealousy factor of it, and also like just living vicariously through people that we saw online, especially when you like were the same age as like the people you were watching or around the same age.
Mhm.
Because I know I had that where I feel like I watched like you and like literally other YouTubers in like middle school and high school, and I was like so like living vicariously through your guys' lives and just like jealous of it in this way because it just felt like you had everything, which obviously isn't true at all. But like when you're like 15, 16 watching another, 16, 17-year-old
Mhm.
girl, it kind
Mhm.
of feels that way.
Yeah,
Um,
totally. Of
yeah, so
course,
it's
I
so
totally get
interesting.
that. And also, we're showing like the most entertaining, the most exciting parts of our life. So of course, it would be like, oh, they must have everything. Like,
Well, and a video is such an enclosed thing. Like,
yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's actually such like, yes, there's so much of my life that's on the internet, but it's still the smallest fraction of my life
Mm,
and of who I am. And so you can feel like you know a person because you consume all of their content, but you still only know this tiny part of them. And they're also in control of what the final product is that actually ends up online. Like, I'm filming myself. I'm aware there's a camera in front of me. I'm probably going to act a little differently than I do in real life, and then I edit it. Like, you can
Yeah.
be the most like real authentic version of yourself ever, and it's still not, it's like a version of you. It's like a tiny little part of you.
I was like thinking about that recently where I was only kind of just processing like how much editing goes into like those kinds of videos and realizing like watching those really made you feel like you knew the person you were watching. And like as
And
you
that's
get older,
sick.
you're like, oh no, like this is just like what they're choosing to show me. And like I think
Mhm.
that's like very said, but not as much like actually taken in or like actually processed as humans because we're just like so inclined towards idolizing people.
Totally. Like,
Yeah.
why is that a natural human thing to idolize people? It's so interesting. It
It
does take
is.
effort, like extra effort to like as you're watching something online to, you know, recognize that not it's probably not 100% like what you're
Yeah.
taking it as. From ages 12 to now, I'm turning 25 next month. It's so weird because my job is literally to constantly look at myself. It's just so scary. And it has affected my mental health like a lot, but it's something that I'm very aware of and very
Mm.
careful about. But I have so many like moments where I'm like, what is my job? Like, this is so, I'm like staring at hours and hours of footage of myself just living my life and editing it and like curating it, and then I'm posting it and there's people like praising me for it. It's very like self self-involved. I didn't think about how I was being perceived at all. That wasn't a concern of mine. And I was just having a lot of fun with it. And so when I would post a video, it was just like something that either I was like literally carbon copying Bethany Moda, or I was like doing my own
Yeah,
thing and like
the
not worrying
blueprint.
about. Yes,
Literally.
literally. Her and Meredith Foster.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, stop. I forgot about Meredith Foster. Oh.
Dude, I loved them. That's why I started my YouTube channel. Yeah, I then probably at like 18, 19, after years of reading comments, analyzing me and commenting on my appearance and commenting on the way I talk or the things that I say, the friends that I have, you become so much more aware of every single move you make. And so I think I kind of had like the biggest realization that I was being really careful about it to avoid what people thought when I was like, yeah, like 18, 19. And ever since then, I've been like, okay, let's make a conscious effort to just be authentic to yourself, Summer.
I feel like that's such a good thing to like come to, and I'm like glad you did. I feel like it's like weird because we're very trained like just in posting anything to kind of aestheticize our lives and like
Yeah.
make it this thing. And I feel like it only is kind of a problem for creators, like because when you're just doing it normally, like it's like who's like caring enough. But also at the same
Mhm.
time, people kind of are. I feel like people have began to like idolize each other for that reason. Like literally just
Yes.
like they're like peers, like because they like post a certain way on Instagram, which is like
Mhm.
so weird. But
So
yeah, no,
insane.
I'm glad you
It's
like
so
kind of
odd.
found peace with that.
Yeah, I mean, at least I'm aware of it. It's definitely still a battle every single time. Like,
But I do want to know like when you started on YouTube, like I would kind of like to hear like about that and kind of just like I don't know, like did you I mean you kind of said this, but like did you like expect really anything to come of it? Like what was it like to just like kind of go from like being a normal girl living in Oregon and then just being in Los Angeles and like going to all these things and being in this kind of like interesting culture?
it was really insane. Yeah, like I said when I first started, I didn't think anything would come from it. I was doing exactly what all of the YouTube girls were doing. Like they were posting once a week. They had like a schedule. It was like really fun and happy and content and whatever. And so I was doing that. It's not like I was like, okay, every single Friday I have to be consistent. I'm trying to get to a certain goal. I was just being consistent and then I like saw that growth and then I was like, okay, this is really fun. I wasn't like, okay, this is going somewhere. We're changing our lives. It was just like that I'm really enjoying this and people are enjoying it. So let's
Mm.
freaking go. Let's keep doing it. Then when I turned 16, I found out that people have managers and people work with brands through that way. And so I found a manager. Actually, I haven't seen this girl in so long, but do you guys know who Griffin Arnland is?
The name sounds kind of
Okay.
familiar.
I used to watch her a lot in like 2016 and I met her a couple times. But anyway, um my mom and I were on YouTube and my mom was like, Griffin just said like she has a manager or whatever. It was in her description box, the email. So we emailed and then I got a call with the manager and he was like, yeah, we'll keep an eye on you for like 2 weeks. And, if we like what you're doing and it feels right, then we'll sign you. And I was like, oh my gosh, no way. Like, this is insane. I was like
Aw.
losing my mind. And, or like 2 weeks after that, he was like, come to LA. We'll have our first in-person meeting. You're gonna do like this photo shoot, and you can go to iHeartRadio event. And there was like a red carpet. And I was like, I'm literally Kim
Oh.
Kardashian. This is actually insane. It was a Red Cross iHeartRadio event. I knew nothing about it. I was literally just there somehow. I'm this 16-year-old girl, like junior in high school, like little YouTuber girl.
Literally the coolest thing for a junior in high school girl.
Yeah,
Like, are you
Oh,
kidding?
yeah.
like
Like
literally.
this is so insane, but I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So I get on this red carpet in my little brandy Melville dress, and there's like
Stop.
That's
no,
so
the
funny.
photos, you guys can like find the photos still. It's actually so funny. I'm like, what is she doing? What is she doing on the carpet? Get her off the carpet. But there were interviewers on the carpet of like legit news outlets. And that was when the Kardashian like iPhone game was a thing and I was
Oh
playing
my
it.
God, the episode, like the
Yes,
Kim K
yes.
one.
I was so into it. I was like, this is literally like I'm living that right now. Like I'm gonna network and I'm gonna like get further in the business and like get more like stars or whatever it was. I was like so excited about that. But anyway, yeah, that was crazy. I go back to Oregon and I'm like going to school and people like started to become aware of what I was doing and that I was like actually kind of doing things. And they're like, oh, Sarah McKeen, Sarah McKeen. Like I remember I would there was one time I was in the bathroom and I was in a stall and I just like heard my YouTube videos on full blast, like playing in the bathroom.
Ugh.
And I was like, oh, love that. And I like come out of the stall and it's these girls and they're like laughing. I was like, love, obsessed. Lots of like weird, annoying things like that would happen, but like if it's high school, people like don't know how to,
I
you
mean,
know.
they probably just cared way more about you, you know? So it
Yeah.
like, but
I
it's
don't know.
still like so hard to deal with as like someone who's so young and like already like just as a young girl, you're like under this lens where you feel so like looked at and perceived, and then like that is kind of like an added thing onto it.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah.
was weird. And I don't like to, believe it or not, I do not like to be the center of attention. I was like not the loud kid in school. Like I hated it. I hated it. And so I ended up transitioning to online school. I don't know. I wanted to be out of high school so bad because when I got that taste of like the LA stuff and like the things that I could really do with my YouTube channel, then I was like, okay, like I'm sold on this. Like I don't want to go to college. I was like immediately just like so down. My mom
Mhm.
was like so awesome throughout the whole like growth of my career. Like she helped me find my online school program and she like would let me go to LA and I'm really, really lucky for that. I was
Oh.
like pretty absent from school and from just, like friendships. My junior year through my senior year, my head was just boyfriend, YouTube,
Yeah.
and that
No,
was
that
it.
like makes a lot of sense. So I think it's like super natural for like your head as like a child to only want to focus on those things and like
Mm.
focus on just like these like really cool things that are happening to you. I don't know. I like think about it a lot where I'll like I don't know, like I'll put myself in the position of like, can I imagine myself being able to like mentally handle that like as like a young girl and like I don't know, like literally just like watching like you when I was like similar in age and seeing you go on like dote trips and stuff like that. I like don't know if I feel like I'd be like mature enough to know how like it was like impacting people even or how it was impacting
Yeah,
me and like
exactly.
do you like reflect
100%.
on that like a lot and like how it impacted you psychologically?
Oh my goodness, yes. I think about that a lot. Like I will look back at like my Snapchat flashbacks will come up of like anytime, I want to say anytime like before 2019. I was just riding the wave, not a thought in my brain. Like I was just enjoying everything that was coming my way. I was taking the photos, I was making the videos and like not giving it a second thought at all. Like I didn't have a grand idea in mind of like what my goal really even was, other than just being myself and being like a good person.
Mhm.
I didn't think about the impact that it had on my audience. I did not think about the psychological effect that it would have on my brain. Um, and that's really, really crazy. Like I will say I took a lot of it for granted for sure. And I don't understand how I was just like all of these pretty crazy opportunities were coming my way. And I was really excited about them, of course, but I was just kind of like taking it all and being like, hey, whatever, which is so like I don't know. I don't understand that. But I was also a kid, 16, 17, 18, 19. I'm a completely different person than I am now. And my brain was in a completely different place that I can't even like comprehend now. I understand it more, but yeah, it's just once I kind of had the rude awakening that I have way more power, I guess, than I thought as it pertains to like my audience, then that shifted things a lot. And like seeing myself as like I am a brand. I'm a person, but I'm also a brand. And whether I like it or not, that's my life now. And like the decisions that I have to make, I have to be way, way more intentional with the things that I
Mm.
do and the places I go and the brands that I work with and all that stuff. And I've always like naturally um what's the word like deflected like that's not like like I don't like to be super calculated like that and I don't like
Mhm.
to overanalyze every move I make, but that's like definitely that's an effect of growing up with this audience and in this industry and everything, like battling with being super intentional, but then also naturally wanting to just do whatever the hell I want and like not have any consequences for that, positive or negative. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's making sense, you guys.
No, it
No, it
makes
definitely
sense.
does.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I have so many thoughts surrounding this.
So I feel like it's like easier now to like look at it as like almost 25 and be like and like think about it in that way and stuff. But I don't know. I'm like curious to know kind of like the same thing that Brittany was saying of like if I was doing that when I was like 15, 16, 17, 18, I feel like I would be so just like obsessed with like viewing myself and basing my identity and worth on the way on what people had to say about me online. And I feel like I still end
Yeah.
up doing that sometimes now at 23 and I have to like literally just like call my mom and remind myself that there's like a world outside of like my phone. And
Yes.
so
Oh my
yeah, I'm like
gosh.
curious if you feel like how you dealt with that at like when you were younger, even now, how you deal with it.
Honestly, it's worse now than it was when I was a teenager. I like did not like now I post a story and I rewatch my story 20,000 times. But like I would post a story in my teen years or anything that I would post it and just be like, that's that. I never looked at the views. I never looked at like the AdSense money. I was never obsessively checking my phone. Like I remember I would hang out with influencers and like for the first time and they would be like, let's take a photo. So I'm gonna post this. My content performs the best at 1 p.m. So do you want to post it at this time? And should we do this caption? And I would
That's
be like,
crazy.
hold on, are we doing it like that? Like, is that what we're doing? This is crazy. I did not know like that was how, yeah, I was definitely not that. I was definitely not that. And I remember like just being around people that did the same thing I did. I would look over and they would be like looking at their likes, their posts. I mean, of course, we all do that. But like experiencing that for the first time from the brain that I had in that moment, it's pretty like it was like shocking.
I
But
feel like it's like not even the people's fault who like do end up that way because there's so much like
yeah.
brainwashing that comes from the internet. Like,
Hmm.
and just like in like you can get so caught up in wanting things to just like be successful, or especially like I can imagine as an influencer because that's literally your work and
Hmm.
that's literally like what you're trying to like succeed in, and that
Hmm.
has to drive you actually insane too, like
Yeah.
and really remove like a human aspect from everything you're doing.
Yes, it does. And that's what really drives me crazy. Like, I just want to be a human existing and enjoying things that, make me happy. I don't know, I just want to do my thing. I don't want to think about the people are going to like this and it's going to do this well. And if it doesn't do this well, then I'm going to have to pivot. I was partially made for this, but there's another really big part of me that's like, why am I an influencer? Why am I a content creator? I am so not cut out for this. Just being around the people that like live for it and will do anything that it takes to get to where they want to be. I've never been that. And
Well,
I don't know.
I feel like people have to become like so desensitized to become that way. So like realistically, nobody's really built for it, I don't think. Like
Yeah.
it's just like
Yeah,
not a natural thing for humans.
that's true. Yeah, people just like learn the internet. And I think there's different personalities that just, if you want to do something, you're going to be the best at it. And I kind of have
Mhm.
that mentality as well, but not
Yeah.
to the extent that like some people do, like Logan Paul. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so there's been a lot of moments where I have definitely like almost completely stopped. There have been like
Mhm.
multiple times where I'm like, is it worth it? Is it worth it for me to be losing my mind over these things that are so insignificant in the grand scheme of things? And like this is not what life is about.
Yeah.
I want to be the happiest that I can be and I want to enjoy my life. And if I'm stressing about these numbers and literally people's perception of me, which is the last thing that we should be revolving our life around, then it's not worth it to me.
About just like I don't know, feeling like very like ridiculed like as a woman, like I do want to like bring up like, and it's okay if you don't want to talk about this, but I just like remember when like like you were a lot younger and you were getting kind of like picked apart because like that stuff came out about like partying, like smoking weed, like when you were young.
Can we
And
actually please talk about that? Oh my God.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you guys, this, holy shit.
That
Okay.
Because
was
I'm
a
so
crazy
curious how you
time.
like
No.
feel about it. Because I've like looked at it like kind of on a psychological level where I'm like, this is interesting because now that I'm older, I'm like, what was she like? She was just like having fun, like as like a like 14, 15-year-old in this space where like obviously all these things were available to her. And like maybe like, I don't know, like maybe like there's like a problem in like claiming like not doing those things, but it is just interesting because like you're a person and you make mistakes. But yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
you go ahead.
No, yeah, I exactly. I think the reason it was such a big deal is because I was so open about being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints online. And my brand was just this really sweet, clean girl that didn't even
Is that
touch
like the
that stuff.
Mormon community or is that what
Yes.
you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah. But what's really funny is so the things the videos that you're referring to, the first one, it was a jewel and it had a CBD pod in it. So it wasn't nicotine, wasn't weed. And me and my friends actually like got them for fun. And we thought we were like so like cool. We're teenagers, like hello. Um, and yeah, I took like a silly little video of me hitting it. And I was like, in the video, you can tell I'm like mocking it. I'm like, haha, I'm so cool. I don't remember what I said, but it was something like that. And it's just kind of ironic because it was not actually anything. Like I wasn't actually doing
Yeah.
anything. And then there were photos. This is how people really stretched for these
Well, people
photos.
love like this kind of thing. Like that's the thing. Our
Yeah. People
brains
like
kind of feed
thrive
off
on
of
it.
it.
It's very human. It's very human. But yeah, like the photos where they were saying like summer drunk. I also like I wasn't. I hadn't even had a sip of alcohol in my life at that point. So it really like drove me crazy and I wanted to address these things. I don't think I've ever addressed them actually, like blatantly like this.
Mhm.
But I felt like because those things came out and people said what they said about them, the trust between me and my audience was completely gone. And so if I were to say, well, actually, no, that wasn't CB, maybe I did and I just completely don't remember. I
Mhm.
blocked it out because the whole time is a blur. But if I were to say something, people wouldn't believe me. Um,
Yeah.
and that's like the worst feeling ever. My least favorite thing in the entire world is feeling misunderstood. And to that level, holy moly, thousands of
Mhm.
people just thinking that I'm this liar, this horrible person, this messy person. Like that was like easily one of the worst times in my life. YouTube and like everything that I've built is my entire life. It means so much to me. I don't care about I don't care about the money. I don't like care about that sort of thing. I really just it's like my child. It's my life. It's I spent most of my time that I spend is on this. And the bond that I feel like I've built with my audience is actually really, really huge to me. It's really important. And it's so special and it's so freaking cool. Like it's the reason why I'm still alive, honestly. Like there have
Mhm.
been lots of dark times. And
Mhm.
I look at this thing that has been like given to me and that I've built and it means so much because I can actually have a like somewhat of a hand in these people's lives and though they're strangers they're alive and they're these sweet sweet girls. Whenever I meet them in person it's like literally I can't even express like how much it means to me. So to have that kind of shot, oh my gosh, really really hard. It was really really hard for sure,
Do you
but
feel like people really like kind of put you down for a while? Like it felt like things weren't like the same for you online. Like I'm curious like how long you felt that like affected you or just in general how like it affected you like mentally to just like go through that.
yeah, it was really hard because um when I would be myself online again, when I like returned back to the internet, I would try to be myself and, do business as usual. And people weren't, I don't know, people made me feel like I was an imposter. And, you know, I'm not who I'm claiming to be. I'm not who I'm presenting to the internet. And that was really hard because that made me question everything about myself. And I was like, okay, maybe I am a shitty person. Maybe everything that I am doing online is not cool or not funny or not entertaining. Maybe I don't have anything of value to give. Like, truly, those thoughts stayed in my head for years and years constantly. I feel like I've just recently like been like kind of come back to myself, and I have way more of a sense, like better sense of self, and I'm way more like in tune with who I am, and I know what I want now. But it's crazy because that happened in very developmental years for my brain and for my confidence and everything. And so, yeah, like it made me not want to post anything, because even when I was like, there were so many times where I'd be in a good mood and I would want to post and I would have an idea. I'd be, wanting to be creative and reconnect with that audience that I really truly love so much. And I would, and then people would be like, ew, like, what is she doing? Or, it would flop.
Just gonna ask how old you were when it happened, because I didn't.
I was 19.
It's like crazy hearing like your perspective of it now. It's crazy that like that kind of thing can happen and people don't even really even know what's happening. Like people don't
Yeah,
really know the full thing and they're just kind of assuming. But then also it's like this like interesting, I think, trope that happens online of people building someone up and then tearing them down. It's
that's
like
how it goes.
entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of people actually that would just like hop on the bandwagon and be like, "Oh yeah, F this girl." Like, absolutely
Yeah.
not. And like a lot of like little parts of me that had nothing to do with the situation at all were picked apart and picked on. Some people that actually were in my high school, some people that I'd never met in my life and claimed that they went to high school with me, they were like coming up with shit and like tweeting things that never happened. And then people would see that and they'd be like, "Oh, the plot thickens. It gets worse. She's the worst." And they would eat it up. Like, people eat
Yeah.
it up. And it's so tough because I could be like, "Wait, stop. No, this is not true. This is not true." And I could like try to like save myself. But like I said, like the trust is gone. So they're not even going to listen to me. And if they do, it's like, what more can they? I don't know. I'm like giving them more bait. Like,
Yeah.
no matter what I say, people are going to watch it with like a hateful eye and be like, "Oh, look, the way that she smiled at 25 seconds, she's such a liar." Like,
I feel like we literally were just talking about this, like just in like life, about how like when people have like when someone decides that they don't like you, or when someone decides to that they hate you, like every single thing you do is viewed through that lens. And I feel like it's
exactly.
almost impossible for that to be like revoked or reversed. And
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah, like even the bandwagon thing, because I like remember when that happened, and I like literally like I feel like it was like, I don't know, like obviously this is a pretty obvious point, but the internet is just so like crazy with like how you can like just jump on a bandwagon and how
Yeah.
quickly people can turn on someone. And
Yes.
like it's actually like insane. Like
Yeah.
I just like can't.
Yeah. So I'm very thankful for the
Mm.
people that like still could see me for who I was and gave me the benefit of the doubt, I guess. I
Mhm.
don't even know if that's the right, but I don't
Well,
know.
it's
Yeah.
like people are normal and like are supposed to grow and like that's just like how it
Thank
like is.
you.
And I think like whether or not like obviously like someone needs to put in the work to like grow from something they've done wrong, but at a
Yeah.
certain point it's so much more in anyone else's hands than it is yours once you've done that thing. So
Yeah.
I was just gonna say a lot of it, like getting through it, was reminding myself that these people don't actually know me and they're not a good judge of my character because they don't know me, and that's okay. If they don't
mhm.
want to support me, then that's okay, and that's none of my business. And I don't need to have any sort of connection to that. That helped me a
I
lot.
was just gonna ask if you feel like you've like regained that trust with like and like your fan base, or at least the people that like still matter, like the people that like support you because they like know, or like know your
Yes.
character.
Yeah, I think honestly, like recently, yes. Like throughout all of it, there were still those people who stuck by my side, and that's awesome. Like at the time, I didn't even feel deserving of it. Like I felt really, really bad. Feel like I can be myself now, like finally. And I don't know like when this happened, but it was a very recent development, I would say. Like I enjoy making videos again for the first time in years, and I'm just now realizing it's because I didn't feel like I could be myself because it was going to get knocked down or like construed incorrectly or
I'm like glad that you feel that way. And I'm also glad that you like feel like you're gaining some sense of self back too. Cause I just like the thing you said about how when it happened and you started to question like whether you were a bad person or whether like
Mhm.
that feeling is literally like the
It's like
worst feeling in the
terrible.
world, honestly. Cause
So
it's like, cause
awful.
I know at least like for me and probably for like, cause I feel like that's like one of the things that I've always like been able to count on in myself is like, okay, I know I'm a good person. Like I know that
Mhm.
that's like who I am. And then
Yeah.
like when something like that happens, it's like that's taken away and then it just like is the worst thing in the world.
Oh, seriously. Yeah, there was a lot of like active effort and energy that I put into reminding myself that I know I am a good person. I know that
Mhm.
I genuinely didn't think I was a good person for a little bit, and I that is the worst feeling ever. I oh my gosh, that is a terrible feeling, but I know that I'm a
Mhm.
good person, and I've never gone out of my way to hurt someone. I can't imagine that. It's just not in my character.
I'm like curious about how um like all of this lines up with your journey with Mormonism, if you're comfortable talking about it and your just like relationship with it in the past and your relationship with it now.
Mm,
Um because I am like interested to know like if you think it's people's right to kind of hold you to like the standards that they're holding you, especially in talking about Mormonism.
mm,
Because it's like this like such an identity.
yes.
And like yeah, I don't know. Do you think people like deserve to feel so strongly about you like steering away from it when you were younger or just like your morals in general?
I think it makes sense for sure because growing up in the church, um, it's such a thing to spread the gospel, spread the message, and I think that can be really great sometimes because there are a lot of things that I really do love about the church, like the morals, like the basic morals of taking care of yourself and your body and being kind to others and all of those sorts of things. I think that's great. So I don't think it's a bad thing that like I talked about it as much as I did. The only thing that I would say like that is negative is that I have kind of like put that tag on myself
Mhm.
and no one forgot. People still hold me to that. But listen, I'm a girl in my 20s and I should be questioning everything. I should be, experiencing life in the way that I feel, period, and doing the things that I want to do and that doesn't concern anyone but myself and like my parents.
Mhm.
But I definitely do understand people wondering about it and asking about it. Um, yeah. It's not, I decided because of that, I don't want to talk about religion or anything anymore online because I don't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are people that like to and want to and they can, but I'm not going to. I don't know. Organized religion is not my favorite thing. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
No, but
Um,
that's like so fair, especially
Yeah.
yeah,
after what you've kind of experienced with it, with people kind of not letting you into that box because it's so like also just fair or letting you out of that box, I meant, but it's so fair to just kind of have like alignment with something, but not like want to explore other things. And like, I don't know, I think it makes a lot of
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
it's a very personal thing too. Like I have a personal relationship with God. I believe in God, and that's still a part of me. But yeah, I'm not going to be, going around preaching all of my beliefs to people. If they ask and want to know about it, then sure, of course. But
Mhm.
it's not my job to, be the Miss Mormon girl.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that makes sense.
That's
Yeah,
how
I
I
feel like
feel.
that was such like a box and like a tag and I don't know, it was just so weird. It was a weird time.
Yeah.
That like era of YouTube.
It was so different. It was so
It
different.
was
There's so many
crazy.
things that were different about it.
I
Yeah.
like remember like the era of like kind of like Mormon YouTubers and it being so like such an insane thing if you like I don't know if someone got caught doing something that didn't align with those things. And it's just interesting because I don't know, it makes me like wonder how much the people watching like actually cared about like that person just like being truthful, I guess, or like what
Yeah.
kind of the intention was, you know?
I
Yeah.
think it felt more like gotcha. Like
Yeah.
we need to hold her she said this, so she's gonna do this. She said she was not gonna do this, so why is she doing it? Everyone look at her, look at her. I look, okay, that was kind of aggressive, but like more, that was like more like the vibe behind it. I don't think like honesty was being prioritized for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was kind of coming from a, kind of an immature place a lot of like most of the time, probably.
I did want to ask about because this is like kind of topical too, because the Brandy Melville documentary came out, Brandy Melville.
Yes.
The
And I wanted
Brandy
to
Melville dress on the red carpet.
yes,
Yeah.
literally you said that and I was like, oh my God, Brandy.
Oh
Because
my
that was
God.
like it literally had us in such a chokehold, like everyone in that era. It was
For
Dude, and it was
crazy.
like kind of like the indie thing at the time. It was like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
wearing Brandy, I'm indie.
Yeah,
Like,
like the necklaces
Yes.
and like the like it was like crazy. And I
Yes.
like am curious to know like just your experience like like modeling for them and like being because I feel like you were one of the girls that were like associated with that like with
Yeah.
Brandy and you were mentioned in the documentary and like
Which is wild. I did.
that's
yeah, did you know that
insane.
you were mentioned like you're gonna be
Oh
mentioned in
no.
it or
No,
oh
no, no. I
that's crazy.
and
That's
why?
funny.
I understand like the fair usage thing, but also like
Mhm.
pay me usage, please.
Yeah,
What
literally.
is going like at least tell me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but working with them honestly was good. And I don't know if that's because I look the way that I look or I'm in the position that I'm in. I think that does definitely have something to do with it. But I knew the photographer Chrissy, and one day she was just like, "Hey girl, do you want to shoot Brandy Melville?" And I was like, "I would cut off my left leg to be able to do that. Like that is everything, absolutely." And so literally we went to the Santa Monica flagship store and just went behind the store, like in the alley, and she like took iPhone photos of me and like um then some like actual nice camera photos. But I remember thinking like this is so odd. Like why is this so low production? But it's so cool because
Yeah.
like that's why it's cool.
Yeah.
And their compensation was I got to go in the store and pick out all the clothes that I wanted and go home with them, which is
That's
That is
crazy.
insane.
insane. I only shot with them twice, but that's what they did, which is wild. And I would also this is pretty insane. Any Brandy Melville store that I would go into, um, for years, probably like 4 or 5 years, um, they would be like, "Oh, by the way, like we know who you are, and you we'll just give this to you for free." And so like I got free Brandy Melville for so long and that was wild. Also, they would I saw people making TikToks saying how like they would get a photo of their outfit sent to the like owner of Brandy Melville or whatever. Every time I would come into Brandy Melville, they would take a picture of my outfit too. Even before I
Like
shot
just
with
when you
them.
came to like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
I don't know if it's because they knew that I was a YouTuber or what, but I remember thinking that was so weird. They would always like I would go to
That
the
is really
Grove.
weird.
Yeah, and they'd be like, also, we just like have to do this. Can we take a photo of your outfit? And it would be like, what? Yes, absolutely. And I never had a fire outfit on. Like it was never anything that was like needed to be taken a picture of. But yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Well,
That's
that
so
like
odd.
culture of Brandy Melville at the time was insane. Like the
Yeah.
way that it was like such a thing like on the internet and for like kind of just like internet girlies to like it was like the cool thing to do. But I don't know. I'm just like very fascinated by it now because I like look back and I'm like, why were we all obsessed with like this like really basic like clothing brand? And it's like weird how that culture gets built around brands like through creators too. And
Oh
like
yeah.
obviously they like knew what they were doing by like being like, here, come pick out like all of like the clothes you
Totally.
want.
Totally. Like they didn't spend any money on actual marketing or advertising. Like they fully like relied on the social media aspect of it, and look what it did. They did amazing. Honestly, like insane. And I actually haven't watched the documentary, so I don't know what is I can imagine what they say, but
Mhm.
it kind of I don't know. I don't know why, but it's like kind of a trigger for me. I'm like staying away from
Well,
it. It like
it's
makes
kind
me
of a
nervous.
meme at this point, like Brandy
Yeah.
Helleville. Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
I was
that's
like,
not
that
real.
name is crazy. I was like, the marketing for that name, like, come on, guys. I also haven't watched it. I like was
That's so
going
funny.
to, we were gonna watch it before we did this interview, and then we just like didn't. But
Yeah, no,
I
I
feel
yeah,
also
like it's
haven't seen it
very
yet.
like
yeah.
what I
I
don't
feel like I
know.
know what they're gonna say. Like,
Yeah, I heard
yeah,
it wasn't that good, which is kind of sad because
yeah,
I feel
Yeah.
like it could be really interesting if they had talked more about kind of like the internet culture surrounding it and like I
Yeah.
don't know. Like obviously I don't actually know what's in it. So like
I
I
know
don't
we
know.
all just
yeah.
haven't seen it.
But like I just like
And
heard it was kind of just like more so about fast fashion and like
oh,
I don't
really?
know. I think like
Yeah.
probably had more to do with like the one size fits all stuff, like you know what I
Yeah.
mean, which is like I don't know. There's so much
Like
more to unpack there, I think.
that was like my number one comment all the time whenever I would post about Brandy Melville. They would be like, "Girl, why are you supporting this?" Which like, thank you for like keeping me in check. Yes, but also
Yeah.
I was just the biggest consumer in Brandy Melville, so like, damn, summer.
But
But
also like everyone was supporting like so many people were like supporting Brittany Melville and like
mhm,
consuming them,
mhm.
and everyone wanted it. Yeah.
And I agree. Like I agreed from the start. I'm like, why is this one? How do you have an entire store
Yeah.
that has one size and it's doing this well? That's actually really insane.
It's so funny because it's just Brandy. Like
Yeah.
every time me and Samira walk past the Brandy store in Philly, we're like, please, let me go
We're like, let's
in.
go
Let me go in,
Brandy.
please.
Yeah.
Yes, it is such a meme at this point. And then you never would have guessed that. Like back in 2017, 2018, like you would never think that, well, maybe because the one size. But like other than I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know why. I also had this like perception of Brandy as being like only like an LA store or like a California store.
Very
And I was like
California.
I was like, I like felt like I wasn't allowed to like walk into like a Brandy
Well,
Melville.
I
Like,
think
you
it
know what I
was for
mean?
a while.
Yeah.
Like I think it was LA, New York, Chicago, like at
Okay.
first. Sorry, I know too
Yeah.
much
Yes.
about this.
No, you're
Like
right. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was for sure. And tell me why they like wanted the vibe of the store to feel like you were walking over to the Mean Girls table at lunch. Like,
No,
why?
literally.
No, because it's
Why
so
would
scary to
why
go
would
in
you do
there.
that?
It's so
It actually,
scary.
Like,
I am horrified to go in there now,
Yeah.
especially now.
and there's
Yeah.
a security guard. Like,
Yeah,
he's gonna shoot
I
me with his
don't.
gun if I
Like,
touch the clothes on the wall. Like,
Literally, it's so
no, it's
scary.
so scary. It's like so hostile. I can't do it.
I wanted to shift
So,
gears for a second about to like dating and relationships like in the public eye.
oh, yep.
Because I feel like as we mentioned, like literally as we like began this interview, that we both like were so I don't know, just like
Invested.
interested. And I think it's just like a really fascinating thing to watch like human relationships form over like a like video because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is actually real. It's not like a movie or something. It's like, oh, these people are like genuinely like together and there's like kind of stake in this thing. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like, how did you feel having people kind of watch your relationships like evolve? Because like I still see comments on Dylan Jordan's social media being like, his
All
wife
the
looks
time.
like Summer, and it's like that's crazy that
That's
like other
insane.
Also,
people
I
who don't know you are
disagree,
commenting
but
that.
Yeah,
no,
I
I
also
know.
don't think so. I like looked at it before and I was like, I don't think so. Like, what?
Yeah, no.
People just they like to say things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always been a relationship girl. Like Adam was my first boyfriend when I was 15. And that was a really interesting dynamic, not only because we're literally children, but because it was also when I was first kind of experiencing all of the things that come with having an audience and like being a YouTuber and everything. And his 15-year-old brain, he is like, he would be like when people would take photos, like asked to take photos with me, he'd be like, "What about me?" And it was like an actual thing that there was like this factor of like jealousy, and it
Oh,
was like the
That's so
weirdest
funny.
dynamic. But he was a 15-year-old boy, and like whatever, he didn't understand it. I didn't even really understand it either, but that was silly and funny. Um,
That is really funny.
that's such a
yeah,
boy thing also.
No, it's
I
such a
know.
Like,
boy
I
thing.
can't.
Yeah, yeah, and like he would come to like beauty con with me and like act like he was like I don't know. It
Well,
was
didn't he?
funny.
Wasn't he like also? I like remember he like skated and stuff too.
Oh yes. That was what we
I'm
Me.
trying to
watched.
give Brittany like the mental image because like
Yeah,
literally this is
thanks.
just like so many boys we like know like now or like in college and stuff, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's
his
like
type.
so funny. Oh my gosh, I met him at a church camp actually, and he lived in California when I lived in Oregon, so it was a long distance relationship, but we made it work. Um, and then I dated Dylan. Oh boy, I was young and naive, and I was 17, and he was in my management, and this was when like collab videos were like all the rage on YouTube, and like everyone was
Mm.
collabing, and so there was a collab that was set up for us on like one of my trips to LA because I was still living in Oregon and I was in high school. We did like a collab and we just like vibed really well, and then literally a week later after meeting, he flew out to Eugene, Oregon, and stayed with me and my Mormon family. And I was just like going to school, and he was just like sleeping in our house. And then, like, 2 days after he got to Oregon, he asked my mom if he could date me. And she said yes, which I think he's really good with parents. He's also very like charming and
Well,
good
I
with his
think I
words.
remember seeing you talk about this in a vlog.
Yeah, like it all happened very fast.
Wait, had you guys
Yeah.
only hung out like that one time, like for the collab, and then like he came?
We hung out for the collab, and then he said, "Let's go on a date tomorrow morning." So that then the next day we hung out. We went on a hike, and I remember he like showed up at the hotel with a pink drink and flowers, and he was like, "Yeah, girl." He was like standing outside
I'm
of his
gonna
car.
cry. I'm sorry,
No.
but like at the time, I was like, oh yeah, cute like romance. But looking back, he had kind of bad vibes. I don't know, maybe I
Yeah,
shouldn't say that,
I
but
never liked
he
him. I never liked him, but that's because I missed
like he
Adam.
like I can feel how like weird it was through the video. You know what I mean?
I have no comment on that, but right.
Yeah,
The
Right.
pink drink and flowers is
that's
crazy.
so funny. He got
He
your
is
drink. Oh
yeah,
my God, he's the one. Like,
he was very, very good at like doing what he like getting what he wants. Like
Yeah.
he knew how to get the girls, and I ate it up. Like I ate that shit up. And it was funny because he honestly like really was not my type. I liked like the Adam, like the
Mhm.
skater boy, like dirty, like
A little
whatever.
greasy.
Yes, yes, and like
he was like a
listens to
pretty boy,
like
kind of.
scary rap.
Yeah.
Dylan, very pretty boy. Like he was a model actor, internet kid. And I remember, I'm sorry if he hears this, but also I think he knows this. I remember when I like went back to Oregon from meeting him, I was like looking at his social media and I was like, no way, no way, no way. Why are you posting a selfie? Why are you posting a selfie? Why are you having people take photos of
Nope.
you? Like,
I don't get
I
that.
I
For
I don't
men,
can't
I
get
do it.
do
that.
not get that.
No, I
Yeah.
can't do men on social media. I cannot do it. I cannot do it. I respect the confidence, but I can't do it. I can't do it. And I remember like showing my friends and being like, girls, what are we doing? What are we doing? He's coming to Oregon.
That's
I'm scared.
so funny. That's literally one of my things where I'm like, if a guy like it's like turned to a joke, but I'm like so serious. I'm like, if I'm looking at a guy's Instagram and he has like too many selfies or too many pics, I'm like, why does he have this many pictures on his Instagram?
Yes.
Like,
Like,
that's
who
not
is it?
what this should be
Who is it
for.
He should have
for?
no photos.
No,
Like
he's
genuinely,
Instagram. Like he shouldn't have social
He
media.
like I
should.
think he should have less than 100 followers on Instagram, 2 Spotify
Yes.
playlists. Like I like it's
Yes.
weird.
He just lives for the attention, and he like wants everyone to tell him that he's pretty and perfect and I'm like, why we're okay. Not I don't know. Not my man. I get it, but no thank you. But anyway, yeah, so dated him. That was actually like my first real love. Actually, it was a very serious relationship, like very quickly.
How
And
long
I
did you date
know
for?
2 years. And
Okay.
I
Wow.
know the a large part of the internet assumed that we were just dating like for the internet, but that definitely wasn't what it was at all. He actually
Mm.
like got baptized in to the church for me. He says that it
Whoa.
wasn't for me. I know you guys, there's a whole it's so there's so much. There's so much. So I need to like filter myself more.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
sounds like he was very intense very quickly.
Also, you
Yeah,
were
yeah,
like
yeah.
18, like when that happened, like when he
Yeah.
was baptized, like that's
Dude.
That's so
crazy.
scary.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And I was like, please don't do this if it's for me. Like do this for yourself.
Yeah.
And he promises that it was for himself, but I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that was he gave me a ring. And it was like a promise ring. They're looking back
Like,
at it. I was 17 years old, so like there's no way I would have been like red flag, red flag, red. Like I
no,
didn't
like it's
Yeah.
know.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't know, but yeah, looking back on it, there are so many things that I'm like, Summer. I learned a lot from that relationship, I will tell you that. But we did have a lot of fun together too. Like
Mhm.
it was really cool to be able to do all of the things that we did like as a couple online. Like we got like lots of different opportunities like in this like space in this industry. That was really fun, and like shooting together and stuff. Like that was really cool. Endless Summer, the Snapchat reality show, that was cool, but also so freaking traumatic. And I would never do that again with an actual relationship.
I forgot about that, but I literally
Sorry.
remember watching that and being like, what is this?
Yeah.
Can you
People
like
still talk
summarize for
about it
like people
now.
who don't like know?
Yeah. So when I first moved to Laguna Niguel, which is just like inland from Laguna Beach, um, the production company of Keeping Up with the Kardashians actually, they like found my YouTube channel and they DM'd me, and I did not think it was legit, but it ended up being legit. They were like, come in for a meeting, like we would love to do a show about kids in Laguna. And so I'm telling the whole story, I guess. I'll make it pretty brief though.
No, you're
Uh,
good.
yeah, we went to like the B&M Murray headquarters, and basically I sat there with Dylan and we just talked all about our life. And there were like six like big executives there that were just like listening to us, and then they're like, all right, well, we'll let you know if we want to make a show out of this. And at this point, it wasn't for Snapchat. It was for Netflix or like TV. Like you're gonna pitch it
It's
to Netflix,
crazy.
MTV, and like a bunch of different platforms. And then Snapchat happened to be one of them. And Snapchat offered like a good amount of money. And so they took Snapchat. But anyway, we like made a sizzle, which is like basically like the pilot to like pitch to these companies. And it was so funny because I had no friends. I had no friends at all in Laguna, like let alone like California even. Like I didn't even really have influencer friends, and if I did, they did not live in California. But the whole concept of the show was like they wanted to make it about friends that lived in Laguna. So we like found Dylan's like childhood friends that still lived in Laguna Niguel, and we like brought them onto the show, and like it was funny. Yeah, like when I was in my relationship with Dylan, like I had no friends. He didn't really have any friends. That also such a red flag. Like you guys need to have friends in a relationship. I think that's a really important part of a relationship. But anyway, yeah, that was fun and silly. And then we ended up making this soft scripted reality show for Snapchat for 3 years in a row. And what that looked like was they would ask me and people who knew me, and then Dylan, of course, like questions about our life. And then they would construct this storyline for the whole season. And so there was a script, but there was also a lot of like improv involved. The acting, like when we did act, so bad. It's so bad. And it's crazy to me that people think that it was full reality because watch it. Watch it, please. It does not seem like a reality show at all, but it was based on our real lives and real things that happened in our lives. So like in the second season, there the crazy one of the like my least favorite parts of it was I was like talking to the first guy that I talked to out of when I got out of the relationship with Dylan. I was talking to this guy, and it ended up being pretty rocky, and there were like weird like I didn't want to commit to him because I just got out of a relationship, but he wanted to commit to me, and like whatever. There was that storyline, and that happened in real life. But then he said yes to doing the show, and we reenacted being in a relationship, and we kissed, and then we filmed us breaking up, which is so weird because that just happened and we had broken up. I don't know. It's just like,
That's so odd.
yeah, it was really, really freaking weird. And it's also weird that he was so down to film it.
Mhm.
I don't
Well,
know.
it's weird how that would just like add to what you're already like going through because it's probably, I mean, it's just
Exactly.
like a really difficult thing to go through a breakup with like your first love and like
Yeah.
process what you even want after that. So that's like crazy to have to do in front of like to reenact that is crazy.
Yes.
Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I like don't have words.
Dude, yeah.
Literally.
Like to act it out in front of like this crew of people who are like, yes, and say this for the entertainment, and we're making entertainment out of your life. Like doing it in front of people, but then also having that put online as entertainment, as a show. And it got 23, the first episodes got 23 million views. And so there were so many people
Crazy.
that are seeing me in this light that were like, oh my goodness, just, criticizing me and what I do. And that was like another added layer on top of like the just, YouTube and Instagram and all of that. But it was like a different kind of audience. It was really interesting. It was wild.
That's like,
Yeah.
I feel like breakups and like relationships like are so like hard when you add in that layer of like having to like even if like asking like your friends or like other people's like opinions and stuff, and then to have like the opinions of just strangers on the internet. Like
Yes.
that's such a bizarre thing, like to
Yeah.
just have your relationship analyzed and like
Oh,
perceived.
yeah, truly. And Dylan and I broke up in, oh, what was it? It was right after my freaking Fiji dote trip. Um, I actually talked to, here's some tea. I was like sitting on the beach with Emma, and she was like, girl, I can tell that like you are not into him anymore, and like he's not it for you. And he like brings out this different side of you when you guys are together. And like you definitely should exit this relationship, because I was actually like wanting to break, and I tried to a couple times for like the last year of our relationship. I like wasn't,
Mm.
anyway, it kept going. That was why we had that conversation. But anyway, I don't know if that
Well,
was
it's
too
just
much
so hard to
information.
break out of something when you're like comfortable with someone like
That's
that,
the
like, and you've been
thing.
with them for that long,
Yeah.
especially that
And
young.
Yes.
yeah, and there's like the thing of like, okay, but like what if like this is like it? Like what if like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna find something else? Like this just feels like it might not be like right, but it's like good for now.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, he was everything in my life for a long time, because like I said, I didn't have friends in Laguna. We lived in the same apartment complex, like down the hall from each other. We didn't live together, but like technically we lived together. Like he was he was like my life. So it was really hard to actually like end that. And like he was my best friend, no matter like what shit went down in the relationship, because there was a lot. He was still like my best friend, and I still had love for him. And so, yeah, it was definitely
Mhm.
tough. But we broke up, and we couldn't tell anyone that we had broken up for months, because the first season of Endless Summer was coming out, and we were in a relationship in the show. And so the producers were like, no, you guys are still in a relationship. Like people aren't going to want to watch the show if they know you're not together. And we like did press as if we were still dating, but I wanted nothing to do with him, and
That's
we
so
weren't
weird.
dating. It was so weird. This is the weirdest thing. Like, I don't, okay. We went on Instagram live to like announce that we weren't dating anymore, and people screen recorded that and put it on YouTube, and my sister Brie and I watched it like a few months ago. So weird. It's so weird. First of all, just to like be on a live stream and be like, "Hey, we're not dating anymore." Like, what the hell? And then also like my demeanor, both of our demeanors, you can tell he's like pissed and I am like annoyed. Like it's the weirdest dynamic ever. It's so weird. But anyway, that's how we finally told people that we weren't together. And then everyone was like, love is not real. Like, you guys are supposed to get married. Like he was so good for you.
Oh
Was he
my,
good for
stop.
me? Can we just move on, please? And they still haven't moved on. Like my comments are still like every TikTok I post, it's like Summer McKeen and Dylan Jordan in the search bar. And I'm like, why? Why? Why?
I think people also tend to like attach like women to like their relationship or the person they've dated, like especially
Yeah.
like maybe it just happens in general with like couples, but I feel like it's even worse for girls. But
Mhm.
that's like so otherworldly to go on Instagram live to tell people that you broke up with someone.
Exactly.
And I don't know, that
So
like has
weird.
to do like really odd things, because I feel like I've been in relationships where like literally just like my friends have been too involved in the relationship, or like I like listened too much to what other people said where it warped my head about it. So like I
Yeah.
can't imagine how that feels on such like
Yeah.
a grand scale.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest, like One of the reasons that I stayed with him for as long as I did is because I didn't want to upset the internet. Not that I was like, I can't do this. It was just so much easier to not. And that was definitely like an influence to me, staying in the relationship for as long as I did, which is a really crazy thing to say and to think about because in what world would the rest of the world be a factor in, the longevity of that relationship? Like it's just such a strange concept. I don't want to
Yeah.
have a public relationship again. I have had a couple since Dylan that I've been public about, but not as public.
Mhm.
But yeah, I decided that like it doesn't need to be everyone else's business too, because there's
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
much that comes with that.
Like, do you ever feel like you like doubted? Because you like knew like deep down in your head, you were like, oh, this isn't right. Like, this isn't the relationship I should be in. But then you had all these voices in your head from people who don't
Yeah.
know you, or don't know the relationship, but they're like, oh, he's so good to you. Like, you like
Mhm.
this, like, is like goals, whatever. Like, do you feel like that made you ever doubt kind of your own like perception of it?
No, actually. It definitely influenced some of the decisions that I made, yes. But I really did see the relationship for what it was like throughout for like the first like few months, like the honeymoon phase. I would like
Hmm.
justify things and be like, I love him so much. I love him so much. I'm so in love. And I don't like doubt the fact that I felt that way. But after that, I was very aware and I knew that he wasn't the one for me. I knew like pretty early on, but I
Mhm.
would like, try to make it work because it was easier to.
No, and also your first like real like love is just like a crazy like
Yeah.
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 It's
Yeah.
like
It's
it like
different.
becomes like I feel like your like entire world and then you have to like rebuild this like other world like after leaving
Yes.
it, which is really weird.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. For sure.
I did. I know you like briefly mentioned the Fiji dote trip, and we did want to like talk about that because it was just such a huge part of the YouTube space in like 2016, 2019-ish was like dote.
Yeah.
And those dote trips, and I don't know if you're able to like talk about that experience of you like being a dope girl, like at all.
I am. I mean, I don't think I signed an NDA. I've talked about it since.
Like,
So, you know
okay,
what?
slay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There was nothing like insane that happened though. So,
Okay.
also it's like kind of a blur, but I'll give you whatever. I'll give you
Okay.
as much as that's in my brain.
I feel like that like Fiji dote trip was just like because I like just remember watching that and like they were just like crazy like to view from the outside and be like this is such an insane thing and like Doachella like, it was crazy like to watch and
Yeah.
yeah, I guess just like what was that like to experience that firsthand and just like anything you like remember or like any perspective you have on it.
That's so interesting that it was such a thing for everyone that was watching it because I was just looking at it as like I would go on, like brand trips with Tarte or like Benefit or Maybelline, and it was just like kind of like another one of the brand trips, but it had such an impact on the internet. Like the
It
dope
was
girls,
crazy.
it was such a thing, and I definitely did not realize that at the time at all. It was just like any other brand trip. Brand trips are always pretty weird because it's just a bunch of influencers and content creators with pretty strong personalities just like put in the same place and expected to like all love each other and get along and like be besties and have everything be fine. But if you really like think about it, like most of the girls were just like high school students that just happen to have like followings and of course it was clicky. Like I had my friends and I was comfortable with my friends and so I would stay with my friends. I would talk to everyone else that was there too and I was friendly to everyone. There was never like this you can't sit with us vibe, but there were definitely cliques. So like we probably gave that vibe and I'm definitely aware of that. It was really fun because we would all be together and like all get along. Like there was no like craziness that went on. I think the only thing was there were some like people being aware of like the follower count differences. Like the
Yeah.
people that had a lot of followers would make sure to like not be photographed with this is alleged. This is alleged. It was clicky. Yes. And social media, like the presence that you had on social media was definitely like a factor in like the decisions that were made. But overall, like I'm saying the worst part of it. Overall, it was fun. Like everyone got along. It was a very like kind of unprofessional vibe. You could tell that this business was something that just kind of like spawned out of nowhere and they were just kind of like doing their best.
Why do you think it was like so specific and so like intense for like the people who were watching it at the time in comparison to other like I don't know, like brand like trips? Because it is crazy. Like I feel like if you ask someone who was watching YouTube at that time, they know about the dote trips. They know about like
Yeah.
kind of like that whole friend group. Like part of me wonders if it's because it was kind of like part of like Emma Chamberlain's like upbringing because she was
Yeah.
so like she got so big since then. But
Yeah.
also like I don't know, it just like reminds me of like it kind of has the same aura as like when like everyone was like really tapped into like her like being a part of like the sister squad. It like kind of gives that kind of like
Yeah.
vibe to it, which is really interesting. And I wonder if it's maybe just like the social dynamics, but I'm curious what you think about it.
I think it's different from other brand trips because it was like this group of girls that like I went on four. I went on four different brand trips with them, but there were a lot of like returning same people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the qualification for us to go on these trips was if we got a certain amount of followers on their app. And so we had to post on our stories all the time asking people to go follow us. And so it was like super, um, it was just talked about way more than like any other brand trip. So that makes sense. And it was posted a lot. It was posted a lot. And no, we did not get paid. At least I didn't. I don't know about anyone else, but yeah, it wasn't like a paid thing.
I like read this like article before like we like did this talking about Dote as like a company just because its like rise and fall was like so interesting and like
Yeah.
crazy. And it was like talking about that and like yeah, how like you had to like get followers on the app and
Mhm.
like talking about how quickly it like rose and became this like really big thing that everyone like knew about and associated. And then
Yeah.
it had like this complete like collapse and just like completely like faded into oblivion. And now I don't think it like exists anymore at all.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. And I am curious, like, because I know they also came under fire a lot for like being like racist and like different like racism accusations. And I was wondering like if you want to talk at all about like your experience, kind of like when those like things came out, like what you thought about it.
When it came out, I honestly was surprised because, like I said earlier in the podcast, um, it was very like da di da. I'm just like doing what I want. You know, this opportunity is coming my way. So I wasn't really aware of my surroundings. I wasn't thinking, like I don't know. I really just like wasn't really concerned with anyone but myself. And I had my friends. I was like, Ellie, Ava, Hannah, let's hang out. We're hanging out. We are on this trip for free. And that was that. I didn't really look around and, think much of what else was going around us. Like we would all be together for like dinners and stuff, and we would all talk and vibes were good. But other than that, like, yeah, I just wasn't aware of it. And then when it came out, I was like, oh, that's pretty crazy, actually. I will say though, I saw the owners were always on the trips with us, and the way that they treated all of the girls that were people of color, like it wasn't any different. As far as like I saw, I don't I maybe this is really crazy, like bold of me to say. I wouldn't say they were racist. I think because they were, as far as I could tell, they were good people and they did treat us equally. I will say though that the prioritization, that's not a word.
I
The
get what you
priority,
mean.
Yeah.
yeah, of
Yeah.
of like, like what happened to Coachella, them being on this side of the house while the rest of us were on this side of the house, that's wild. And
Yeah.
Mm.
I can't, it's hard for me to believe that it was intentional, but how are you not aware of that? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are
Like, how
we?
would it not be? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys were
And
all also like young at the time too, so it's like these are
yeah.
like they were like grown people like who ran the
Yeah.
company, right? So like
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is fully on them. They definitely should have been aware of that. They definitely should have done something about that because also I didn't know this until after the trip, but the girls that were on the other side of the house that was developed later than the main part of the house, they actually on the trip, they were like, is this really our rooms? Like they spoke up about it. And I don't know. I wasn't there for the conversation. I don't know how the, owners of Dote went about it, but they should have done something about it right when
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
said. So yeah, I definitely don't agree with their actions at all. Had I been aware of it, I don't know what I would have done because it's also not my place to do anything. Like I would love to I would have loved to do anything that I could, but it's like this is I don't know, I don't want to be like I don't know how to explain what I'm saying.
Was it kind of like a scary thing like to be the one to like complain about it because you were like being taken to like on a trip for free? Like is that kind of what you're like trying to say or
Yes. That like this was like a privilege to us. Like they were like our people that we don't want to cause any commotion type of a
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
But also like if I were like close with these girls and I was a part of the situation, 100% would have talked to them, would have talked with them, to the dope people. I would have offered my bed, like 100% I would be there. But I
Yeah.
wasn't. And if I were to do anything about it, I feel like it would have come off as me being like, I am so like holier than thou almost. I don't know. Do you understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah.
I
Like the
don't want to do it
self-righteousness a little bit.
exactly. Like if
Mhm.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been like for show type of like that's how it would
Yeah.
have been taken because people would have been like you guys aren't even like close. What are you but in this at the same time, it's like you're in the same house, and so if there's something that can be done about this, then do something
Mhm.
about it. I totally understand that. I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it was like more kind of like divided than people could really like witness through like videos, I guess, in the sense
Well,
of like just some people not even like being friends with each other, or at least like
Yeah.
in like terms of what you're describing.
yeah, like we were in the same house, yes, but everyone was kind of doing different things. We were really only together at the same time when they would like have dinners for us. But
Mm,
other than that, like people had their friends that they would hang out with and like get ready with, and then they would, there are like different events that you would go to. People were leaving at the same time. That's how it was for Coachella at least.
mm,
Actually, no, for Fiji too. Everyone was really doing their own thing. There wasn't a lot of like organization with it, and we weren't together a whole lot.
mm.
Um, yeah.
That's also insane because like it just reminds me of what we were talking about earlier about like kind of like videos existing in a vacuum and like people kind of taking it as this like huge like thing, at least because that looked like otherworldly to me when I watched it.
Yeah.
Like I literally was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like I don't even like I don't know like how like they're all like in this one place in this like huge house and like it just
No
like
way.
seemed like it wasn't even like a real like place. Like Coachella didn't seem real. Like it
No.
was crazy to
That's
me.
so insane. Yeah, I
Coachella
mean,
still doesn't feel real. Like it
Yeah,
does like a
no.
lot more, but it still doesn't. Yeah, it's crazy.
Coachella needs to not, honestly. It's so overhyped. Like it's really not.
Did you see Grimes' performance?
I did. I saw like no one, but I heard that it was not great. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I
happened.
saw stuff about that online. I was just curious.
Yeah.
And she was like screaming. Yeah, no, I wasn't there for
Yeah.
that. I didn't see like, ugh, I want to see Vampire Weekend so bad too, and I didn't get to.
Well, I remember like it being kind of like a crazy, shocking thing, at least to me, and I think other people kind of like had this weird realization about it when Emma posted a vlog being like, Coachella actually isn't that fun. Like, it's like, it
Yeah,
just like kind of
no.
sucks. Like, we're just like in the middle of a desert. And then other people started kind of having that mentality. And like, obviously, it's like such a cool thing. And I'm sure that it's like an insane privilege to get to go to, but it's still like,
Yeah.
that's like very interesting because it's
Yeah.
just like, wow, like everything is so much bigger than it looks like it is because it's
Oh,
just a music
totally.
festival.
100%. And that's what happened to me last year at Coachella too. Like I didn't go to weekend one because I decided I was like, I know Coachella is like not that lit at it's just it's so much, it's so exhausting, it's so damn expensive. Like after you find your like housing and like the outfits, like all of that. I was like, I'm not doing that this year. And then I saw weekend one and everyone was posting about weekend one. And I was like, wait, it looks so fun.
Yeah.
And then I went weekend two. And of course it wasn't that fun. Like everything looks better online. Of course, people are gonna make it look like they're having the time of their lives. Like that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Especially
So
things like Coachella, because that was like the thing, like you went to Coachella and you like were going to take a lot of pictures and you were going to post those pictures.
that's
So
how it
obviously,
goes.
like that was the thing.
It just like reminds me of the same thing of like wanting to like accomplish like a goal or like having some kind of dream. And like when someone's already done it, it's like, oh, they did this thing and like I could never do that. But like you don't actually realize the steps to doing it. And I think it's kind of the same kind of like mental block, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Okay, this is something also like if you don't want to talk about, because I know you've addressed it before. But I did want to ask about those videos, like when they leaked of, I think it was like you and Hannah, Meloche,
Yes.
and the fan edits.
Yeah.
And like the way that people viewed them online was it was like you guys were like making fun of the fan edits and of like I think it was like Verena who was like in them.
Yeah.
And and yeah, I just wanted to like ask about that because that was like such a huge thing that happened. And I feel like that also kind of similar to the photos that like had come out, or those two like things were so just like such big things. And I just want to
Mhm.
ask um like kind of what happened, like what were you thinking like when you made those videos, like when they came or when they were leaked. And
Yeah. So when that like first came out, um, they said that we were making fun of the fan edit. And we weren't making fun of the fan edit. I've never made fun of an edit made of me because that's amazing and insane. Like that's really cool. We it was after Coachella and we were like looking at the edits that people made of like all the different, like photos that were posted at Coachella. And then there was this one that was like, I don't even think I was in it. I think it was like, and I'm like trying not to talk like on other people's behalf. So this is kind of
Mhm.
Mhm.
tough, but there were this person, and this person who were like in the same group and they would always hang out and post with each other and stuff. And then Verena was also in the edit. And so that's why it was like notable to us because we are like, wait, why is Verena in it? Because it was like this squad and then Verena was
Yeah.
also in it. But also, hello, I would not say that nowadays. Like I don't give a shit. Like why I was a teenager and I was also, like I said, so in my own bubble and just so not aware of my privilege. But looking back, I think I felt like I was like indestructible. Like I was just, I could do no wrong because I was praised for like all the moves I would make. And yeah, I was not aware of that at the time that I was experiencing that. But the only like hate that I really got was like about being Mormon or about my eyebrows or, small things that didn't really
Mhm.
matter. And I wasn't educated on the things that I should have. I don't want to say I should have been, but I could have been. I could have been
Mhm.
more aware of my surroundings and, you know, things that I should be more sensitive to, like culturally and, as it pertains to like my privilege. And tell me why I posted it on my Finsta. Why did I take a video of us and post? I don't know. There was like six people following it. And so the six people that were following it knew me and
Mhm.
like knew my personality. Like it wasn't like this weird little platform to show off. I don't know. It was like almost like I was posting it to no one, but why did I post it? Why did I film it? I don't know. It's like really shitty that I said that because I also love Verena and we had a great time whenever we were together on those dote trips. Like we were friends. Like it was chill. It wasn't anything against Verena at all. And I texted Verena too about it. And she's like, no, it's totally fine. She like, people were asking her about it on a live stream and she was like sticking up for me, which is, she's so freaking cool.
Oh.
She's awesome. Very high school, very mean girl vibes. And I hate that because that was not the case. Like it wasn't, there was any beef or anything. And I absolutely love the freaking fan edits. I love them. I love them. What was the other thing you said?
And then I think like just like other like things like on your Finsta. I don't even like
Probably the videos of me and my sister. This was like we're talking about everything that I like got Holy shit, there were so many different
This is like a biography.
I know, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, like I feel like Finsta was also just like such a, because you saying that thing about like why you posted on your Finsta, but Finsta was also like an unreal time because we were just posting anything on there.
No, people were posting like the things that I was posting, holy moly, it was so PG compared to everyone else. Like I could have been murdered if I was actually crazy, but the fact of the matter is that like, I wasn't doing anything at all. And like the things that I did post like looked like they were edgy, but they actually weren't. But, yeah, there were like silly videos of me and my sister doing an accent, and we were just like playing around, and like now we understand why that's like not chill at all. And what we were doing was we were imitating this Whoa Vicky video actually. And you can, in the video we say like her like tagline, like her catchphrase of pussy ass hoe could never. I shouldn't have said that out loud. But yeah, so we were like recreating like a video that she did, but it's so gross and embarrassing and like bad, and oh my goodness. That's the last time that we were like that, and I understand why that's not cool at all. Our intentions were definitely not malicious. We weren't making fun of anything. It was just us like doing a character, but that character was definitely not for us to do. And
not that this is like like an excuse or anything, but it's crazy how normalized that was at the time on the internet. And I think that's like really interesting, like because it's like, how did Whoa Vicky exist?
Yeah, that's another thing. Like it was so different. Like, I mean, think about Vine. Like, Vine was anything went. I am so much more aware of the world and my surroundings and really the privilege that I do have and the way that my life is so different than other people's lives. That's been great for me to be aware of just for day-to-day life. Like, not so that, not like being online, I guess it's good to be educated, but just like in life in general, like I want us to all be happy and like be on the same page and feel equally important and equally loved. And yeah, so it's good to have an awareness of your surroundings and be dialed in on like what is actually going on and how you have it differently than others.
I don't know. It's definitely like a very also important thing to just be aware of in like everyday actions, because it like I don't know, it like I feel like when you're younger it doesn't feel like any of those things really matter, but it's still like affecting someone negatively. So it's like it's just like a good thing that you like came to that, but as like a lot of young people need to.
Yeah, for sure. Like I never had an experience that taught me that not everyone it lives the same life that I live. And I just wasn't like aware. I was in my own little bubble. Yeah.
I think like what's so cool about like the field that you're in is that it does give you a platform to literally do anything you want to, because you have this like audience like that you've already like kind of gained, and they're like here for you. So like anything you do, they're gonna support. And I think that's such like a special, rare thing. And that's just like sick.
Oh, I'm incredibly lucky to be in the position that I'm in, actually. Like I can make content out of whatever it is that makes me happy, and people will watch it.
That's kind of all the time we have. We appreciate you coming on so much. Like this has been so fun and interesting to talk about and like kind of lift the curtain. I don't know, just like a very parasocial like relationship to me and also Samira.
Yeah. And also, like, thank you for answering all our questions and like,
even though they were kind of jail.
Yeah, of course. I kind of assumed you guys were gonna ask. I just, oh, I hope I put my thoughts into words correctly. Thank you guys so much. You guys are both
I also
awesome.
have one last thing.
Okay.
So like our name of the podcast, you know, Internet is Dead, also known as the Josh Ovalle Please Be a Guest on My Podcast. So we've been getting all of our guests. I don't know if you're, you know, privy to the Film Quaker universe or anything like that.
Hello, of course. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Emergency Intercoms podcast though, and they're like best friends. So
no, I know, but it's like, okay, maybe if we put him in the title of the podcast and we beg him every episode, then he'll do it.
So funny.
Like they're gonna have to see it at some point.
They have to. They have to.
I feel like they're gonna be like these annoying girls. Like, why are they putting like literally. Please, like just like leave me alone.
No, just keep going. Just keep going.
But it's so okay. Annoying. But okay, so if you could just repeat this after me. Just say I, state your name, and then, you know, any credentials you have that might help. Just, you know, I don't know, 2 mil on YouTube or something like that. Hereby request Josh Ovalle for collaboration with the Internet is Dead podcast. Please, Josh, be a guest on the podcast. We miss you.
Okay, I'll do my best. I did not get
I can type it in chat. That's something I was like realizing maybe I should.
That's
type
smart.
It in the chat, please. Okay, clip this, everyone. I, Summer McKeen, someone who is a YouTuber and has a presence on social media, hereby request Josh Ovalle for collaboration with the Internet is Dead podcast. Please, Josh, be a guest on the podcast. We miss you.
Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
I think that'll work. It's like I swear we're getting like we're getting like people who I feel like he just like I don't know. Like we had our friend on who like is like a James Charles apologist on. We were like, yeah, just ask him, and we're like, yep, this will work. Like, no, it will not work.
No, you can't just say that and then like.
Sorry, can I not just say that?
Good. I think the variety, like having a crazy variety of people is good.
We're really like reaching out to everyone. All areas of the internet.
I'm so flattered that you guys even thought of me. Thank you.
Oh my god, we were so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, literally.
My gosh, me too.
When you responded, I was like, like we both like freaked. We were like, oh my god.
Way. Oh, like, I love this.
We were so excited.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. I think it's so cool. You guys have like awesome personalities, and you're clearly both like very intelligent and like have a great head on your shoulders. And you're funny, and like the whole concept of this is awesome. So I'm very in support of it.
Thank you. That's so sweet. I'm gonna really cry.
Yeah,
we love you.